One or two, or maybe three people, if we're being generous here, have said that they think luck is somewhat subpar. And upon reflection, I've realized that there needs to be an easy to point to example of luck supremacy. And as such, I've devised a challenge to beat Dark Souls 3 by only using things obtained from luck and exclusively leveling up luck to prove once and for all to the blind masses that luck is objectively the best stat. The main or practically only thing to keep in mind when choosing a class is what weapons can be wielded, because with stats this low, the difference in damage scaling and health is close to nothing. As such, I chose the Mercenary because it has the highest dexterity and strength can be made up for by two-handing. Also, my slave... What do you mean I'm not supposed to say that? Also, my loyal companion's research has led me to choose a specific weapon beforehand. So now the preamble done, the first proper step is killing Gundyr. And to clarify, the gear I spawned with alongside the estus flask are not obtained from luck. As such, I cannot use them and must kill Gundyr barehanded with no healing. Think of it as a way to make sure you have what it takes to attempt this challenge. It's kind of like yesterday when I tried joining Alpha Chi Omega, and the woman I was talking to said, "You don't really have what it takes to join us right now." Now, admittedly, I don't know what Brenda wanted me to do in that situation to show that I had what it takes, but I do know what to do here. Parry. You see, Miyazaki appears to have forgotten that he's the only human that can casually swat away halberds barehanded, but I'm sure as hell glad he did, because it makes the fight way easier. Except for the second phase. Now for the wall. Good news is that within 10 seconds, there's already an easily parryable guy that drops a decent weapon, which I'll use for now, and the great news is, I got a raw gem without even trying to farm for it, so I used it on the weapon that was always intended to be temporary. Well, now for the big dog-man hybrid Vort. Except for the lack of estus flask, this is just a normal Vort fight, so I died as many times to him as I did to this old lady. And I think this is a good point to make something clear. I am allowed to sell things, because although I can't say for sure where the Shrine Handmaiden is getting these souls, and I'll admit it could theoretically be from means which would constitute a rule break if I were to do it, however, plausible deniability exists, so it's fine. Back to the task at hand. I of course stole the previously mentioned old lady's bus ticket and made it to the undead settlement, and there's a lot of things I did here. First of all, this guy's my slave now. What? No, he's my slave in the video game. You're allowed to do slavery inside of a video game. Okay, so he's my slave now, and the neat thing about that is I can get free luck levels by just doing... what's the word? Mors Voluntaria. Now, Mors Voluntaria also has other benefits, which will be explained later, but for now, it's time to abandon my longsword because the weapon I always intended to use is this, the Flamberge. From what my loyal companion was able to find, this is basically the highest damage weapon which can be both obtained through luck and wielded with base stats. The only downside is I have to two-hand it, and personally I've always been more of a dexterity main, so the moveset took some getting used to. And now, before moving on, I just need to get another raw gem, which I previously found without even trying, so how long could this possibly take? Yeah, this made me realize just how lucky I'd been thus far. The longsword was obtained in 3 kills. The first raw gem was unintentional, alongside the Moschino clothes, and the Flamberge was obtained on my first try, so 30 minutes for a rock was a change in pace, but I'm sure nothing like this will happen again. Well, there's nothing left of importance here because I can neither use estus flasks or boss weapons, so next is the Crystal Sage, and there's 2 options here. 1. Individually kill the clones constantly spewing out near one-shot attacks with a melee weapon I'm unfamiliar with, or 2. Get a different weapon that is more optimal for dealing with this. So for that, I went back to grinding. This time for throwing knives. I did it for 20 minutes, thus netting 40 knives, an almost perfect amount, because by the end I only had 4 left. Now for the Vatican. I love this place, especially the Giants. It's a real shame some unknown assailant killed them, but there's no time to find out who, because I must go on to fight the Deacons of the Deep at some point in the future. Not right now, because killing them here would get me, what, luck? My weapon doesn't scale with it, so killing the Deacons would not make the Swamp or the Abyss Watchers any easier. However, killing the Abyss Watchers first gives me access to Hell, which is a great place to grind for Titanite shards. And in case you didn't notice, my sword is still +0 because I haven't been able to find any good Titanite farms. So, in other words, if me kill priests before Artorias simps, no help. But me kill Artorias simps before priests, it help kill priests, okay? So now for the Artorias simps. Unless you consider backstab special, there isn't anything special about this fight. Just backstab like so. Like so. Okay, I swear Miyazaki personally changed the code to make me look bad. It's the only way to explain this. Thanks to my immense skill, I of course was able to overcome Miyazaki and did succeed in backstabbing them, so now for the catacombs, which like all catacombs have a gateway to hell. And the grinding spot I was mentioning beforehand is just across this river. Okay, so this guy has a near guaranteed chance to drop Titanite shards, and if he doesn't, he'll drop a large Titanite shard. Also, the souls he gives me are more than enough to pay for the upgrades. All that's left is to grab the final and aka 12th Titanite shard in order to get a +3 weapon.
Volnir versus a functioning human brain.
Come on, it's Volnir, what more is there to say? This rat thing killed me more times. Oh, right, I forgot about the priests. Overall, great place, great place. I would certainly change its survival screen. They could just turn down the music this stage. Okay, now that I've reached Erythil, there are two choices, Yhorm or Pontiff Sulyvahn. Because the Storm Ruler is not a random drop, I obviously can't use it, and will have to kill Yhorm with normal weapons for the first time. And as such, because of that, I intend on killing him last, after even Lothric. So, Sulyvahn is the next target, but well, that won't exactly be a walk in the park. So, now for the thing I've been putting off. Getting a hologem. This took 2 hours and it was more than worth it. I mean, seriously, hologems, they scale with luck. Even though Miyazaki is hiding that fact, you can clearly see the extra damage. It also increases your luck by 5, but only if you're above the age of 99, which I am, so obviously this will be very useful against Sulyvahn. Alongside the shield, which can parry, I got it from some dude here or here. I swear I've had it the entire time, and no, I'm not going to sift through hours of footage to find the exact 3-second point where I picked it up, but it is a random drop. But before I tell you about the Sulyvahn fight, I'd like to talk about the non-boss aspects of Dark Souls 3. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying personally, when I'm fighting a boss and I die or get hit, in the back of my mind, I always think, I can dodge that next time, because it's a segment specifically made of precise attacks that were designed for you to dodge. The same cannot be said for this. So, my main goal is to reach this elevator checkpoint, and in order to do this without getting hounded by hounds, I have to kill everything. Now, the first issue is this knight who sometimes follows me, sometimes doesn't. I have no idea what determines it, and if I dare look away to find out, I'll get attacked, so it's just gotta trust that he's not following me. The second issue is individually picking off dogs and wizard things so that I don't get swarmed. Now, the obvious question is, how did I get past this? Well, it was by completely ignoring the level design and running straight forward instead of trying to engage with the video game, because that rewards you with 30 minutes of death, and that's kinda just how most non-boss sections go. So back to the bosses! I actually ended up no-hitting Sulyvahn, and because the clip is barely a minute, I'll just play the whole thing and let it speak for itself. With Sulyvahn dead, it's time for more grinding. This time, I'm killing White Knights for large Titanite shards, and afterwards I started using some of their armor which dropped along the way because, why not? And it was very useful to grind for green blossoms, which increase stamina recovery speed. I got these because Aldrich has a lot of ranged attacks, and as such, avoiding these attacks really takes a toll on that green bar, so the blossoms were, of course, completely useless. You see, on my way to the fight, I got hit midway through and decided to do something experimental, different from my normal style.
Has this ever happened to you? Are you stuck constantly dodging projectiles and worrying about stamina management? Then, go to the Life Hunt site. Anyone can do a no-hit run like a pro with this one simple trick. After Aldrich has disappeared, chill out and relax for 3 to 4 seconds close to, but not on the arena's halfway point. Then begin running forward. Even if you don't know for sure where he'll be, you can easily course correct because he will definitely be on the side you're running to. But don't run too far because your goal is to reach one pillar away from where he spawns. This will guarantee that his first attack will be the Life Hunt scythe, and although a high damage 2 dodge roll attack might seem scary to you, all you need to do is simply roll when the scythe reaches the apex of its swing, and then roll again as soon as you can. Afterwards, Aldrich will always leave without doing any more attacks, meaning you're in a prime position to do it again. And again. And again. It's super easy, so why wait? Start today, and no-hit Aldrich like a pro.
Overall, the fight was super easy, and I beat it in an hour. After this, I went past some non-boss stuff, and began fighting the Dragon Slayer armor. This boss is, in my opinion, the most Dark Souls boss of all time. It is John Dark Souls, which I mean in a good way and a bad way. It's a big dude with big attacks, a big dick, and a big weapon. It's great, if you ignore the unreasonably long boss walk. And the second phase, where an otherwise really fun dodger game just throws in random attacks for no reason. But if I didn't love this fight in spite of that, I would not have played this game as much as I have. So, normally there's a corpse with a key that opens this door, but in order for it to spawn, I need to kill all the Lords of Cinder except Lothric, so in other words, I need to kill Yhorm. But the issue doesn't stop there, because even if I theoretically were to kill Yhorm and use the key, I would have used the key, and clearly broken the rules. So now there's three options. 1. Install a cheat engine and make the door open with that. 2. Find an exploit within the game to glitch my way past the door. Or 3. Make an exception out of necessity just this one time for this one thing. I, having no experience in speedrunning, chose the first option. It didn't work, and the next day I found an antivirus I don't remember installing mysteriously installed on my PC. So for the second option, as far as I was able to find, there's no widely reported way to get past this. But there's this spell called Tears of Denial, which lets you revive once that I could cast using another glitch despite my lack of faith, and the invisible death barriers work by setting your HP and gravity to 0. So if you were to die to the death barriers in a certain way with Tears of Denial active, then you revive with your gravity set to 0. As such, it's possible to do this and then either walk onto the Grand Archive's roof/balcony or walk straight to Lothric. But because you have to die in a very certain way, there's only 2 locations where you can do this, and I'm looked out of the first because Vort needs to be alive, which, well, he isn't. Also, it's probably impossible to do it from the second location. You see, because your gravity is 0, you can only go up and down by using specific ledges, so even if there happened to be a way for you to get past all of this, I highly doubt you could go from the undead settlement to the wall. So I chose the third option. Now, this requires killing Yhorm, and I'm not insane, so I'll only do this with a +9 weapon and some more levels. The best way to obtain both of those things is by getting the End of Fire ending. First step, Oceiros. I've never beaten him on a challenge run before, and I never will again. What the hell even is this? Who approved it, and why do they hate humanity? Now for the +9 weapon, and that of course means grinding for Titanite chunks that take around 15 minutes each, and I need 12, so some, oh god damn it. Well, after all that work, it would be a shame to not test out my new sword on a boss which doesn't have a health bar bigger than Alaska. There are some minor discrepancies between Champion Gundyr and Udex Gundyr, but it's still Gundyr. Okay, that didn't do nearly as much damage as I thought it would. Not to say it's bad, but because I have to two-hand my weapon, I kind of also have to make a decision to only use parries or use no parries, because switching to a parry mid-fight doesn't go well, and I don't think this damage is enough to justify using a parry instead of fighting normally, which I have been doing the entire game. So this only took 35 minutes. And now that the Firekeeper has completely abandoned the ideology she dedicated her life to because she held some eyes, I don't really get it, there's nothing else to do except fight Yhorm. So Yhorm has 27,882 health. For comparison, the most health I've faced thus far is Oceiros, who had 8,000 health. Yeah, naturally there's a tad more to beating this than just time, though that is of course a main factor. Firstly, this hand takes way more damage than the body, and thus also contributes to Yhorm stunning faster, and after you stun him twice, you can hit him in the head and deal 3,254 damage, which is the most you can deal to him in one attack. As such, you should aim to do this. If you're an idiot, because instead of going for that, you should instead hit him from behind, because if you hit his hand with a charge attack while he is stunned, which you have to be behind for, it will do enough damage to instantly trigger the second stun, and that combined with 2 more charge attacks deal more damage than the headshots, and it happens faster because you do it immediately on the first stun. So that strategy, the fight itself was 5 minutes. For comparison, the Oceiros fight was 2 minutes, so it's still long, and would have been much longer if I wasn't overleveled, but, and I genuinely mean this isn't a joke. If you ever want to spice up a Dark Souls 3 run, beat Yhorm after Dragon Slayer armor without the Storm Ruler. It's actually fun. However, the trials do not end here, because now I need to remember that this passageway exists instead of running around in circles like a moron. And once that test has been achieved, I need to fight the twin princes. Oh, he's gonna teleport behind me. Oh no, I'm so scared. Oh no, not the little balls. I'm so worried about those. Oh no, an extra attack. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. Ooh, it's the twin princes. I beat their ass super easily. Well, with that out of the way, it's time for the last boss. It once took me 10 hours to beat this guy because of all the little follow-up attacks here and there that instantly halved my health bar. So this time, I had an epiphany. What if, instead of hitting him when it kind of looks like I maybe can potentially get a hit in, I only hit him when I 100% know he's open. And it turns out that's a good idea because I beat him in 26 minutes. It took me an hour and 10 minutes to beat the Crystal Sage.